Day 14 of reading the Cosmere. I've just started The Well of Ascension, book 2 in the Mistborn trilogy. There's not much to talk about right now, except for Vin killed a dog. Vin, our hero, animal abuser, she killed a dog. It was a strange choice. I get that there's the Kandra, and that the Kandra needs like a carcass to digest. But did it have to be a dog? I don't think it had to be a dog. But besides that, not much else has happened. She just got some Duralumin because she's trying to discover the 12th metal that completes the quartet of the Time Ones. But yeah, there's a lot of explaining the previous book, like what happened in Mistborn, probably because most people have put some time in between reading books 1 and 2, but of course we would never do that. But yeah, I'll try to keep you updated. I'm enjoying it so far. It is day 15 of my Cosmere reading vlog. I just hit page 100 of The Well of Ascension. It is at a glacial pace at the moment. This one is so much slower than the first one so far. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Not much has happened. We're getting a lot of Orisa. Is that how you say his name? Like the Kandra that's now in the dog that Vin murdered. I'm still not over that. Something's going to happen there, isn't it? Either the Kandra is going to betray her or it's going to save her life. We're getting a lot of it in the scenes. We found out as well in the last book when Vin got captured by the Lord Ruler and all of her powers were dampened, aluminium dampens all of the other metals. Like, you can no longer use them. At this point, we've got like a periodic table of allomancy metals. Like, I'm very much here for Vin being like this universe's Dmitri Mendeleev and putting together like a little chart for them all, because, you know, we're gonna have a list about this long of metals. It's been quite a few days since I last updated my Cosmere reading vlog, so let's get on that. I am now on page 250 of The Well of Ascension. It's still at that sort of slow first act type of progression. I'm realising now why we had all of those scenes between Vin and Orisa, the Kandra, because there's now an enemy Kandra that has infiltrated their crew, but they haven't found out yet who it is. What I fundamentally don't get is that they have the skeleton of the person that the enemy Kandra has digested. So assuming that everyone in their crew are different heights and sizes, you could just compare the bones from the skeleton to the crew members to like figure out based on size who it was. Like, is that not... I feel like you don't have to be Poirot to make that kind of conjecture. Anywho, Sazid, the Terraceman, continues to be my favourite character in this whole series. I'm really hoping that there is a future novel in the Cosmere somewhere that just focuses on a Terraceman's academic journey, because I find their entire like race of people really fascinating. Because now we also have Tindwyl, the like terrace woman, who is giving Elend Venture all of this like training on how a king should act and dress and speak, and all of that is really entertaining. Like, I enjoy fantasy books that have thought-provoking dialogue, and I think there's bucket loads of this, which always is good as well if you want to adapt the book series, because there's a lot of sentences and conversations here that could just be lifted from the book because they're very dramatic and memorable. Oh, and we also found out that the Watcher, the Mistborn that Vin keeps dueling with, his name is Zane. He's Elend's half-brother. I'm very worried that they're setting up some kind of love triangle where Vin is going to have to choose between the two half-brothers which one she wants to be with, because we're seeing like the beginning of a rift between her and Elend, where he doesn't seem to appreciate her like wanting to be free as like a Mistborn and to just be in like the mist. And so Zane, who also has that background, has that connection with her. I don't know, it's not fleshed out in the best way so far. Like, Zane's psychosis as well was also very heavy-handed. Like he just started like self-harming, and there was no like it was so abrupt. I was like, oh, okay. But that's all for now. I will try to update you more regularly with a day-by-day recap. It's very late in the night, but I just hit page 400 of the Well of Ascension, and it's been a minute since I did an update. This series, it's kind of losing me a bit, only because Mistborn had a bit of everything, you know? There was fighting, there was strategy, there was romance, there was suspense, there was world building, you know? It all came together in this lovely cocktail. This, so far, I'm only about halfway through, but there's so much yap, so much just talking, you know? And I don't mind it for the most part, because at least he's one of these authors where the dialogue is semi-interesting and we're learning stuff that is cool to know about. But still, can something happen? You know, something tactile, something I can really like sink my teeth into, because it's so much talking. Like, where's the screaming, you know? This book gets so much praise, so I'm sure it's going to be one of these slow burn situations where in the last act stuff's going to really get thrown down, and I'm going to be grateful that I held on through the slow 3/4 that got us here. But oh goodness me, are they slow? Like, we still don't even know who the Kandra spy is, like the enemy spy, but there doesn't even seem to be any urgency from Vin. Like, you think that would be quite a damning piece of information to have, and yet we're still not there. Meanwhile, Set is now in the kingdom, which just feels strange to me. I don't like how they never explore the POV of the villain. So when the villain comes into the fray and has all the relevance, I don't know them. Like, Set is suddenly in the kingdom with his men. But this is the first time we've actually got to know him. Like, I don't know his character. And it was the same with the Lord Ruler in the previous book. Like, he was this big bad guy, but I didn't really know him. And I wish there were more alternating POVs. This book does a better job than the first one at that, at least, but I could do with it some more. One thing though that I have done a full 180 on is Orisa, so Vin's personal Kandra. Once he gave his backstory and we saw how difficult the Kandra have it, I do think it's really interesting. They have some great dialogue with each other. I have gone from like not caring for his character to like loving him, and I'm hoping that they like are in this for the long haul, because they have a great back and forth. I'm really enjoying that. But that's all for now, I guess. Here's a little marker so you can see how far into it I am. It's ending me. I think it's time for a Cosmere reading update. I am on page 550 of the Well of Ascension. Still haven't finished it. I fear it may finish me before that happens. The last 150 pages, it could have been an email. Like, I'm struggling to think of stuff to talk about because so much of it is wrapped up in dialogue, strategy, plot, but like, not, as I said the last time I made one of these, not a tangible plot, just lots of spinning plates, and I'm really struggling to keep them in the air. Like, I think I will finish this book, but can I say I enjoy it? Well, we'll see how it ends. You all seem to think that the ending is going to blow my socks off and make all of this worth it. It better. I know people keep telling me, oh, this book is a setup, like it's supposed to build and prepare you for all of the things that will happen in book 3, but I don't like that. I think each book should still be good in its own right. Yes, you can set up things along the way, that is very clever to do, but I should still be entertained, and I'm not at the moment, and I don't know what's happening, because the first book, I would say throughout the whole duration of the first book, it was very entertaining, and that's why I was in such a hurry to read this one, but it's just a bit of a slog. Thematically, it's very similar to A Clash of Kings, the like second book in the Song of Ice and Fire series, when you have like the War of the Five Kings. But in that book, it does such a meta job, I think, of going to each of the different factions and seeing their motivation for wanting to be like king of like King's Landing, or of course here it's Lutherdale. But here we rarely see the factions, and there's such a like binary to it where you know who the heroes are, you know who the villains are, you know who Sanderson wants us to root for. And I don't like that. I want some morally grey characters, some more self-interested people. That's why I'm really digging Zane at the moment, because he's one of the only characters that you can't pin down and be like, okay, so this is what you're all about. Everyone else just feels so transparent to me, and that's really interesting. Oh, and they still haven't caught the Kandra spy. At this point, they just don't care. There's an enemy spy, and it's taken hundreds of pages to find them. We still don't know. And I'm kind of sick of Elend Venture as well. I liked him in the first book, but in this one, he's coming off as a bit of a drip. Like he can die at any time. I'm very happy for Vin to run off with Zane. I feel like they're more suited to each other. I've only gone and finished The Well of Ascension. Finally, the ending, I will attest, fantastic. I was pleasantly surprised by the ending. But that does not change the fact that this is the definition of a bloated sequel. You could remove about 200 pages worth of meandering and get an even better book out of this. Like, it's very much in the shadow of the first one. Low key, that ending has like restored my excitement for book 3, which of course I'm gonna get into straight away because that was a real cliffhanger. Spoilers from this point onwards, because we're gonna summarize the last 200 pages or so. A lot of what happened leading up to the ending I felt was a bit anticlimactic. So we found out who the spy was, finally, and it was clever, but we'd also waited so long that I was over it. Like, I didn't even care at that point. It just turned out that instead of it being Orosur from the beginning, it was Tensoon. Like, it was the Kandra, it was the dog. Sure. Zane died in a really underwhelming, like, knife to the throat. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him back, because it was very just like, who cares? Oh, and Strafe's death was really underwhelming too. I don't know why all the villains in this are such pushovers. I guess it was building up to this new evil presence that's been let free from the Well of Ascension. I guess that's now the big baddie. But am I going to be surprised if she ends up beating it by the end of book 3? Probably not. And it was very much the same with the Colossus as well. We had like this big army of these big blue brutes that were going to destroy the city and kill everyone, only for it Vin to like do like a Duralumin soothe, and it was like, oh, she controls them now. Okay, like, was that it? Really? And after Margal Tindwyl died, one of my favourite characters, love the Terrace Men. I'm really hoping that there is a future book that focuses on a main character who practices Feruchemy instead of Allomancy, because Feruchemy seems so much cooler. Like, if you were picking one, that's the one you do. Oh, and then Elend nearly died, but then she saved his life by turning him into a Mistborn with like the nuggets by the Well of Ascension. Didn't love that. I was very happy with Elend dying at the end of this book, so a bit annoyed that he's still there because I don't love his character. I'm really praying that the Hero of Ages manages to pace events better and doesn't have this same very boring slow burn. I also need way more outspoken female characters. I realised the other day there's only 3 women in this book. Like, what's that about?